Footballing community. Weekly surgery is back on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm joined by my usual hashtag quadruple stream with Sky Sports Royalty with Tom White. Before we get into it, people, let's smash the intro. Footballing community, welcome to a weekly surgery exclusive. Joining me for his quadruple appearance on Albert JTV will be class personified Mr. Tom White from Sky Sports News. Hashtag episode 29 of Weekly Surgery. Good afternoon, people. Welcome back to Albert JTV for another episode of Weekly Surgery. I believe it is episode 29. People, as I like to say with obligatories, smash the like button, poke it, or just press it anyway, to be honest, and get them algorithms up. And subscribe to Albert JTV. This was meant to go out live on Instagram as well, but there's been a technical glitch. Not my fault, people, because I don't run Instagram. And so, yeah, there's an issue there, but it was going live on the X feed, Twitter, and YouTube as well. Now, as you can see, people, I've got more than a special guest. He's like a brother from another mother, Mr. Tom White from Sky Sports News. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming back for Weekly Surgery.
It is always my pleasure. Thank you for having me back on.
Tom, always a pleasure. Like I said, I like to have the saucy, nice little intros when you come on, because you deserve it, Tom. You deserve it. But people, yes, this is hashtag quadruple. Tom's been on for the fourth time now. Like I said to him last time, this is almost like a Mission Impossible series, to be honest, with Tom Cruise and, what's the other guy's name? Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg. I'm sure we'll find those two guys.
As long as it doesn't end with any, any heartbreak or anything, that's fine. I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. No, Tom, there's definitely no heartbreak. Don't worry about that, mate. Definitely don't worry about that. But as I like to normally start the show, when I've got Tom on, I like to get the juicy stuff, the most important stuff, and to sink your teeth into. So, Tom, we're going to start with the fantastic Black Cat. So, Tom, obviously, when this happened December now, so I wanted to ask at the time, but I thought, you know what? I will get him on. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So, yes, Sunderland talk, Tony Mowbray, Michael Beale, hashtag Tom White's Black Cats. Tom, so, I remember looking at my phone, watching some late night TV. I think it was, let me see if I got my notes right, 4th of December, 22:42 to be precise. Tony Mowbray's been sacked as Sunderland manager. Now, I wasn't going to message you because I know what your sleep patterns are. And to be honest with you, in the job that you're in, you probably would have got the notifications anyway. So, Tom, Tony Mowbray, your first thoughts for us to ask you about Michael Beale. Shocked by the sacking? Did you see it coming? What was your initial thoughts when you first heard the news?
Well, Sunderland fans, we all loved Tony Mowbray, and we still do love Tony Mowbray. There was a bit of a split as to whether it was the right thing to do or not. I think everybody would have been relaxed if he'd stayed. There wasn't a mass amount of uproar when he went, but everybody still loves him, and that says something. When the manager goes and everybody's upset about it. But the strange thing is, people are upset about it, but they kind of understood the decision. And I think there was a little bit of trust there that the replacement was going to be an upgrade. That hasn't been proven, but it's still early days.
No, well said. Yeah, I was really shocked. And obviously when it happened, you popped into my head, Tom. You did. I think he left them 9th. There was 9th in the table at the time, but I think it's 1 win in 5. So I don't know, managerial jobs, man, whether it be Championship, Premier League, wherever, your time span is not very long. The football landscape has changed immeasurably. But then that leads on to my next talking point, Tom. Your appointment, Michael Beale. Didn't see that one coming, to be honest with you. I don't know if anybody else was linked with the job. But what again was your initial thoughts? Because I actually saw on Sky Sports they spoke to some of the Sunderland fans, and how can I put it, Tom? They didn't seem too happy, to put it politely. But what's your thoughts, speaking to Sunderland fans, and your general thoughts anyway about the appointment?
Well, I think that there is a connection between Sunderland and Rangers. Now, I don't know what the history of that is, but Sunderland and Rangers have a lot of Sunderland fans also support Rangers. Like I said, I don't know where it comes from, and those fans wanted Michael Beale out of Rangers. So, to a certain extent, that feeling has followed him from Rangers to Sunderland, and that wasn't a great start. Taking over from a very popular manager is always hard. Someone who got us in the playoffs last season, which nobody saw coming. And of the other names linked, there were people who nobody really knew who these people were. There was some from France, some from Scandinavia. There were kind of young managers who were doing well around Europe, and you had to really do your research on these managers, and it became quite exciting, the thought of these managers that we didn't know much about. So I suppose it was just a little bit underwhelming when Beale got the job to a lot of the fans. But he's here now, and he'll definitely still be here until the end of the season, and then maybe we rethink. But at the moment, it's hit and miss so far. Early days. There's still long enough left in the season. If he gets us into the playoffs, then we can't really complain. But it was just the love that we all had for Tony Mowbray and still do. I'm going a week on. I'm going to Birmingham v Sunderland.
Yeah.
Mowbray is now Birmingham manager, and I think quite difficult for Michael Beale is that we will all give Tony Mowbray a great reception, and that would be probably quite hard for Beale to see. You know, if he's like it's like a new girlfriend showing love for their ex in front of you. You know, and that's what it might feel like to him. We've got 2 league matches before that. We've got Plymouth at home on Saturday, and then on Wednesday we're away to Huddersfield. Beale could really do with winning those games, so that when we go to Birmingham, there's a lot more behind him, and the kind of cheers for Tony Mowbray is more of a warm applause than a raucous singing of Tony Mowbray's Red and White Army.
Yeah, because I'm just quickly looking at the table, Tom. I want to quickly ask one thing, because obviously, sort of West Brom and Hull are in 5th and 6th. You're only a point off the playoffs. You're in 8th. I have seen, obviously, a few weeks ago, it was trending on, whether you want to call it X or Twitter, about Michael Beale. Yeah. Are things that bad, Tom?
I think there has been a lot of. There had been a lot of people who wanted Beale out immediately. He lost his first game at home to Coventry 3-0, but actually, Sunderland should have been winning 3-0.
Yeah.
The derby was bad, but actually, no one really expected to win that anyway. I mean, Newcastle were in the Champions League about a month or so before that derby in the FA Cup. We had a draw away to Rotherham where we were very poor. But then again, we went away to Hull and won. Yeah. And Hull are flying. Hull I'm almost certain Hull are getting to the playoffs. Yeah. We beat them away from home. But then we went and lost at home to Hull. And again, we were dreadful. And since then, luckily, well, thankfully, I should say, there's not luck about it. But since then, we did have a home win and then a 1-1 draw away at Borough. That isn't that bad. And that's obviously helped out. If all he can do is keep winning, keep picking up points, trying to get into the playoffs, there's not much more that he can do. But yeah, fans turned on him quicker than I've ever seen us turn on any. We've had some managers that haven't worked out.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anyone turn as quickly as they have on Michael Beale, and I'm just hoping, for my club's sake, that he can turn it around.
Yeah, it's mad, because you know what, Tom, I know you are Sky Bet Championship guru, and I have no problem saying that, Tom. Because there are teams that I've seen it happen, especially in the Championship, where teams have made a playoff final, or they made the playoffs, and the following season they've completely bombed. Yeah. Some of them even got relegated to a league below. Many seasons ago, Tom, was it Leeds United played Watford in the Millennium Stadium in a playoff final, and Leeds.
Under Kevin Blackwell
got relegated. Yeah, they did. The followers got relegated.
Yeah, I remember it.
So yeah, we can. I think, if you get the playoffs, Tom, I know there's still it's a long slog to Sky Bet Championship. You got a chance of making it. You've got some good players there. Hopefully, like I said, with football managers, it's a results business, man. It is as simple as that, man. Fans
Yeah.
want
I hope he
success.
gets it right. It doesn't matter who's manager of Sunderland. I hope, I hope we win. He hasn't proved to be particularly popular with a lot of the fan base, but everyone will keep getting behind the team regardless, and he has the power to turn it around and eventually, hopefully, be liked and then maybe even loved at some point. You never know. He's got the
Tom,
power to do it.
yeah, Tom, we all like a bit of loving, man. Don't worry about that. In whatever form, people you may wish to use that, but yeah, Tom, smashes to get your thoughts and about your club, man. People, now I want you to know for the visual people that watch this YouTube, I did not give Tom the memo what to wear. We just happened to wear the same colors, but weekly surgery, people. I do like to wear black because for me, it's weekly surgery, serious business. I love Arsenal, but I like to talk about football in general. Sky Bet Championships, other ends of the Premier League. But smash the like button. As you can see, Tom's Twitter handle is going along the bottom of the screen. So if you haven't followed already, people, I honestly do not know what you're waiting for. And it's not because I'm being biased, but you should be doing it anyway. But Tom, now, great to get your thoughts. Bit of a gear change, Tom. And one of the reasons why I'd love to get you on. Transfer recap, hashtag FFP, hashtag profit and sustainability. These are probably two of the words or three of the words that football fans just want to either go to sleep or say, oh, for goodness sake. But it's there for a reason.
It is, yeah.
Now, Tom, the thing is, you've done so many transfer windows and, Sky Sports News and that. Sort of with the lead up going into January, did you even personally think, you know what? I know it's not going to be like it was the previous January window. So I'll give you a bit of context. So I looked on my Instagram on the Sky Sports feed, or Sky Sports feed, a week before the transfer window closed, and I think they said 780.1 million spent, as opposed to this year 34.6 million. Now you probably thought that there was going to be a drop. Did you think to yourself, actually, you know what? This is going to be a bit more quiet than I thought.
Yeah, we were expecting it to be quieter than usual. We didn't expect it to be this quiet.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people, no doubt, because profit and sustainability, and financial fair play. Everybody was kind of rocked by that news that Everton got a 10-point deduction, which they should find out by the end of next week whether their appeal has been overturned or reduced or whatever. And then by the 7th of April, we'll find out about the second one for Everton and also Nottingham Forest. But when the news came out, Everton and Forest, everybody was waiting to see, right, what's going to happen to them. Because if they just get a slap on the wrist, we can keep spending.
Yeah.
If they get a points deduction, we need to keep our money in our pocket, and we don't know what's going to happen with Everton and Nottingham Forest yet. So everybody's been very, very cautious. You've got clubs who will have wanted to spend and have just been told by the people in charge of the money above them, no, you like the advisors, you've got to be careful because it could be catastrophic if we get done for this. We could get points deduction. We could get relegated. And what happens? What happens if you get kicked out of the Premier League and the EFL don't accept you? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I'm very, very shocked if that ever happens.
Yeah,
but can you imagine?
Crazy.
What happens to your club? It doesn't bear thinking about. So a lot of people were cautious, but I did think there was going to be. Not every club has got problems with profit and sustainability.
Yeah.
So I thought there would be more done, to be honest. And I was quite surprised. And it makes it much harder for us because when you haven't got that many solid stories to go on, you have to get creative with it.
Yeah.
Now you've got to start when I say get creative, I don't mean make up stories. What I mean is you start thinking, right, today let's talk about the best ever signing that was made on this day. All right. And you have a chat about that because there isn't actually a definite transfer chat to have. You see what I mean? You've got to you've got to think outside the box to keep the viewers entertained, which is challenging, but also those chats are quite good fun as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because I kind of as people might be shocked to know if you're not a Arsenal fan, could get it out there, or might be tuning in, seeing this, or watch it back. Um, I mean, there was a lot of grumbles within our club in terms of the fans thinking, you know what, for Arsenal to have that extra push and to chase City and to try and get this over the line, get a striker in or get someone in. But I was quite early in the window of my thoughts. I said this to some of my guys that I got really well with, that there is a distinct possibility with Arsenal that they won't do any business, and that's turned out to be the case. So that didn't shock me. In terms of the actual window itself, that it did. I thought there'd be a little bit more activity than there was, but I can obviously understand why there was, and obviously the profit and sustainability is a new thing that obviously came in with the Premier League. People got to understand that the FFP and profits they're not not the same thing. So I was surprised. I mean, with Everton quickly, just very quickly. What's your intel or gut feeling as to what that outcome is going to be?
Yeah, well, I've got no intel whatsoever. And in fact, nobody does. I mean, Sean Dyche doesn't know. Farhad
Yeah,
Mashiri
wow.
doesn't know. There's
Mm.
no intel on that whatsoever. Gut feeling is the 10-point deduction will get reduced, because normally when you appeal something
Yeah,
like that, there is some sort of a reduction, but that is just a complete guess. But I don't know what will happen with the next one, the one they've got with Forest. I don't know.
oh
So
dear,
I've got a
yeah,
feeling the 10-point deduction might go down slightly, but that is, again, don't want people thinking, oh yeah, he must know something, so that's what's going to happen. No, that is a complete guess. And
yeah,
then I've got no idea again what will happen with the one that we'll find out of in April with Forest and Everton again and Forest. Because
yeah,
think about how close that is till the end of the season. That
yeah,
could change. That's why Burnley and Sheffield United, they need to pull their fingers out.
yeah.
Because imagine if there's further points deductions and they still miss out. Imagine if two teams get points deductions and they still go
They'd
down.
be gutted.
That's why they shouldn't. That's why they shouldn't be giving up yet. Don't give up
Yeah,
if you're Sheffield United or Burnley, because this could be a unique season.
it is. Tom, you're right. That is a perfect Chichilian speech from yourself. There, it's true. Because these things that are happening. So, Tom, a quick run through sort of some of the deals that might have been done or loan deals. But I know my YouTube Tottenham wife will watch it back on the rerun. She's going to try and deny it, Tom, but she will watch it back on the rerun, because I'm going to talk about her team very quickly, because obviously I get all awkward and funny about talking about Spurs. But they brought in obviously Dragusin, is it from Genoa, the centre half, Romanian, and they brought in Timo Werner on loan. You had Fulham brought in Armando Broja on loan, I believe that it was, and obviously West Ham brought in Calvin Phillips. So those were the main ones, really. So any surprises with those, or particularly with Calvin Phillips? But he needed to move, though, to be fair.
Yes, Calvin Phillips definitely needed to move. I thought he'd be going to Newcastle, so I was quite surprised. And they could have afforded a loan,
Yeah,
Newcastle. Now they actually do have problems with profit and sustainability at the moment, because they've had 2 years of mega spending and it's done over 3 years. And that third year, so 3 years ago, Mike Ashley was in charge, and he was more, how do I put this politely?
go on, Tom.
I won't say it, but Newcastle fans won't want me to put it politely. He was a bit more stingy, right? And that it's so weird, isn't it, that final year of Mike Ashley is currently saving Newcastle from any sort of
That is mad.
problems. You
Yeah,
see what I mean?
mad.
So that they could have afforded a loan deal for Phillips. So I was quite surprised about that one. But then again, his wages are high, and maybe that could have been a problem. Phillips has had 2 poor games so far
Oh
for
dear.
West Ham.
Yeah, I
But
saw
I do
that.
think
Oh
I
dear.
do think that will be a brilliant signing for them. That's the one that stands out to me. But then part of it is because part of the of what I think he's going to be the best one there is because I know a lot about Calvin Phillips. I don't know much about Dragusin. I've
No.
been put a lot of research into him. Didn't know much about him beforehand. Timo Werner, from what we saw at Chelsea, like so close to being a quality player, but not quite.
Yeah.
Armando Broja just needs to get fit. He
Yeah.
needs to run games and get fit. That wasn't necessarily going to happen at Chelsea. And also they're trying to sell a few homegrown players as well, because of that's another term I'm sick of in the month of January, the term pure profit. selling off all of your academy players.
Yeah.
And Breuer, at the moment, I'm not convinced about him, even though I had a brilliant loan at Southampton. So out of all of those, I'd still say Calvin Phillips is going to be the best one, but only because I know more about him than the rest.
Yes, that's fair play. Talking of injuries quickly, yeah, bad news about Michael Elise. They're talking about out for over 2 months. He's a player they cannot afford to lose any injury. Him and Eberichi Eze, hopefully will bring him back to the red carpet one day. Fingers crossed, Eberichi Eze. There's a link there, Tom. I'm searching, but I love him, Tom. He's just quality player. But Tom, quickly, I want to ask you about. You probably know more about this guy than I would do. Big money move for Adam Wharton from Blackburn to Palace. And what
Yes.
money? How good is this guy? How good is he, Tom? And tell us about him.
Right, very good. I would say at this stage, what would have been perfect for him was Palace to buy him, because Palace wanted to buy him in summer coming up, right?
Yeah,
they wanted to
right.
wait, but they knew how many clubs were watching him. They knew clubs had financial problems. They didn't. So they said, let's do it now. I think what would have been best for everyone was Palace to buy him now, let him stay at Blackburn on loan till the end of the season.
Well said.
Or they could have sent him to another championship club on loan, I suppose, but it probably would have sweetened the deal if they let him stay at Blackburn and then get him into the first team for next season. But at the other, although I think that's what would have been best, I can completely understand if I was Roy Hodgson, I'd be saying, we're not paying £16 million for this midfielder for me to not play him, for me to send him out on loan. So I can understand that as well. But he's a good defensive midfielder. He's left-footed. He doesn't pose too much of a threat going forward, but he's a good footballer. And maybe it will work him going straight into the Palace side, because he can actually have half a season. Palace aren't going down. Have half a season of being eased in to Premier League football, and then he might be all the better for it next season. So maybe Palace have got it right. But I think the signing will be a good one. And Palace have a very good record of signing from the Championship and EFL in general. Elise and Eze, as you've mentioned. Will Hughes had spent much of his time in the Championship, although he did have Premier League experience when they signed him. But there's quite a list of players that Palace have got from the EFL and done very well. So their scouting department, they're clever enough to scout the EFL. And I think Wharton will eventually be good. I don't think anybody's going to be raving about him in the next few months.
Yeah.
But maybe this time next year that might have changed.
Yeah, not with the way Palace are playing. I was there for the home game at the Emirates. Their fans were not happy. They was even more furious the last game, losing to their... I mean, I'm laughing, Tom. I should. They say it's a rivalry between Palace and Brighton. I'm still trying to work that one out, but
yeah, well, they do. I mean, they do hate whatever. It's not like you can't call it a derby because they're too far away from each other. But it's definitely a very. There's real.
They hate each other.
Yeah, so it's definitely right to call it a rivalry, just probably not a derby.
Tom, there's one big up to people in the chat. Jay Collins, Doug, Liverpool fan. There's very few ones that I do like out there. We'll get into that a bit later. And Ryan Williams, AFC, big up to you, man, my guy. And Tom, I want to quickly ask about one player, because this is my own personal choice. I'm not talking for any other Arsenal fans, by the way, because obviously Arsenal is spoken about in terms of a striker, which is something that hopefully will get done in the summer, depending on who they're with. I wouldn't complain with Ivan Toney at Arsenal, but I chucked in a name, and I know you like this guy, Tom. That's why I brought you on especially. Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah, yes.
Talk to me, Tom.
Right, this is it. This always happens when I big up a player from the EFL and people laugh. They laugh at me.
Yeah, it's true.
Because people look down on the EFL. I remember, but before we talked about Victor Gyökeres, right, I'll tell you that when we were in, when Sunderland were in League One, we played against, funny enough, right in front of me that showed a goal of. Oh no, it's actually not. It's a different game. But there was a player in League One at the time called Kiefer Moore, who you'll now know all about.
We know Kiefer Moore, yeah.
And I was we were in League One. I was saying, imagine if we can get him in League One, moved from Barnsley to us. Eventually went to the Championship, eventually went to the Premier League. He held his own in the Premier League, but doesn't fit into Andoni Areola's Iraola's style of play at Bournemouth. So he's now gone back to the Championship with Ipswich. He's played about half an hour in the Championship with Ipswich this season and scored 2 goals, right? So my eye for an EFL player is a good eye. Victor Gyökeres at Coventry last season. And before that, I was saying he is more than Premier League quality. He is like Europe quality, as in qualifying for Europe from the Premier League quality. That's how good he is, right? And everyone was like, nah, it's a big step up from the Championship, big step up from the Championship. Well, Sporting Lisbon got him for something like, what did they pay? Something like 18 million or something.
20 million Coventry's on him. Yeah, they got good money from Coventry. Really
20 million, right? Which Coventry will have been delighted with. But then there was talk that after 6 months, his asking price is now £100 million.
Yeah.
He is brilliant at Sporting Lisbon, and still people will turn their nose up. People will turn their nose up and say, "Oh yeah, but out in Portugal, still can't do it in the Premier League." I'm telling you now, he can. He is he's a very, very good player. He can, and if you play it as a front three, I would always have him as the striker, number 9, right? But he can play right and left. If you're in a front three, he can play both sides as well. So he's a brilliant player. I've just seen you switch your light. I'm going to switch mine on. He's actually getting quicker than I thought.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. Don't worry.
There you go.
Well done, Tom. That's it. We want people to...
That's it. I'm trying to get the light out of the shot. There we go.
Don't worry, Tom. That's better. Go on, Tom. That's it.
So Victor Gyökeres, I'd love to see him in the Premier League, but sadly, he's going to cost so much money now that I don't think it'll happen.
No, because he's flying. He's flying in Sporting Lisbon. Great numbers, not just goals, assists as well. Good height wise, he would work at Arsenal. That's my outside. That's my own personal choice. There's nothing against an Osherman, and why would it be? I'm a fellow Nigerian brother. Of course, I want Osherman, but Gyökeres is an outside bet. Bring him to the red carpet, Edu, if you're listening, man. But that's just my fault. Someone to get your thought. I know you're a connoisseur of Sky Bet and Victor Gyökeres and Gus Hamer, who went to Sheffield United. So yeah, great to get your thoughts. People, smash the like button in the chat, and obviously when you watch it back, it'll be very much appreciated. So Tom, a little bit more, a bit of a gift, a bit of a gear change again. A.O.B, people, any other business. 2 players I want to talk about. Obviously, I don't watch Luton week in, week out because I don't support Luton, but I like to watch football generally speaking. But to think, Tom, he's still only 30. He feels like he's been around forever. Everton, ex-Chelsea, didn't work out there. Went on loan in Ligue 1. Was it Nice? Was he went to? I can't remember.
Nice, yeah.
And he's come to Luton. He's been excellent. Even people, not me, for people shoot me in the chat or watch it back on the replay, have talked about a potential England squad call-out. I'm going to come on to the second player in a minute, but I don't know, Tom, if you've seen much of Ross Barkley this season, but he's pulling up trees at Luton. He's been excellent.
Yes, he's been absolutely brilliant lately, and he cost them nothing as well. I loved him when he was at Everton. Didn't work at Chelsea, and he hasn't really. Even his loans that he's had haven't worked either, which has been quite sad. And I thought that he might just fade away, and I'm so glad that he hasn't. He is flying at Luton. Now, the talk of the England call-up is, if he was in the England squad, would I be happy? Yes. Would I trust him if he was in the starting lineup for England? Yes, I would. What I would say to anybody who says he should definitely be in there, I would say, okay, well, name your 6 central midfielders, because Southgate will probably take 6 central midfielders to the Euros. Maybe only 5, but I reckon he'll take 6 and one fewer striker, because he plays with 1 striker, he plays with 3 midfielders. That makes sense. Now, let's be honest, Rice and Bellingham are going.
Yeah.
No doubt. Then you've got the question mark of, right, will Calvin Phillips play enough? So 2 definites there, right? I'm probably missing another definite, aren't I?
Rice, Bellingham, Maddison.
Rice, Bellingham, and then I tell you what, I'll put a question mark next to all the others. Okay, so Phillips, Henderson, Maddison, Mount wouldn't get in there now, but what if he comes back fit and has a good end to the season? James Ward-Prowse, who I would have taken to the World Cup rather than when they took an extra defender in Benjamin White, I would have taken Ward-Prowse instead.
Yeah.
So there's 7. He might take Trent Alexander-Arnold as a midfielder. There's 8. And I'll definitely be I'll be missing someone obvious here. Foden might be there as a midfielder rather than a winger.
We'll talk about Sir Philip. Yeah, we will.
Yeah, but he might be there as a midfielder rather than a winger. And that's all before we mention Ross Barkley. So and then you've got Newcastle saying Lewis Miley should get in. Manchester United saying Kobbie Mainoo could get in. Some Newcastle fans think John Joe Shelby. I wouldn't put him in there personally. I'd actually be more inclined.
Longstaff.
Did I say long? What did I say?
You said John Joe Shelby. It's all right, Tom.
Did I? Oh well.
He's on the brain, Tom. It's all right. Yeah, Longstaff. A lot of Newcastle fans rave about Longstaff. They do.
I meant Sean Longstaff. Yeah, but he is. John Joe Shelby's English as well. So yeah, all of those people. I don't think Barkley. I think that Southgate will have a kind of shortlist, and I think Barkley's probably too late for that shortlist. Whether you think that's right or not, whether you agree with that, I don't necessarily agree with it, to be honest. But I don't see Ross Barkley getting back into the England side. But if he did, I'd be happy. I'd be very comfortable seeing him in the starting lineup for England, let alone just in the squad. But I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, 33 caps for England, 17 appearances this season, 3 goals, 3 assists. He's never been called up by Southgate. I can't remember his last cap for England. It's ages ago. He featured a little bit in the 2014 World Cup under Hodgson. I think there's, as well as he's done, Tom, I just think the pecking order in front of him is way too great for him to even think about being selected. And I think particularly under Gareth Southgate, we was told that players would be picked on form. That's not necessarily true. But listen, he's been excellent. But Tom, one guy I want to talk about quickly as well, before we get onto the juicy part of weekly surgery, because Tom knows what's coming, and hopefully some of the Arsenal fans stick around as well, because they might know what's coming as well. But I was asked about Foden in terms of no, I was asked not necessarily about Foden, but I was asked by another Arsenal fan when I did a stream on my channel, and they were saying that who would you pick as sort of an England midfield, or who would you like to see play in a number 10 role, or someone just off the striker? And as good as people might have their own preferences for a Grealish or a James Maddison, I said to them, I like to see this guy play personally. And I can say that confidently because obviously I'm an Arsenal fan, so there's no bias. I think he's brilliant, Phil Foden. Get him more centrally, get him more involved in the game. I get it. When we had the Euros in this country, he missed the final because he was injured, so there's nothing you can do. But not just because of the hat-trick yesterday, and I need to make that very, very clear, but I think I heard Danny Mills speak today on Sky Sports. I don't know if you saw it, Tom. He's talking about the England conundrum and playing Bellingham and Foden. Could you play Bellingham, Foden, and Rice, or
definitely?
You or under Southgate? Do you think Southgate would do that?
Oh, Southgate definitely won't. No. Well, actually, no. I haven't. No. I tell you what. Now, Southgate either plays 3/5 at the back, or he plays 4-3-3. Right? If he plays a 4-3-3, Foden goes on the wing. He will not put him in a 3. With one defensive midfielder, maybe even 2, and one kind of just ahead. But not at number 10. He won't put Foden there.
No.
However, when he plays 3 at the back, he plays 2 number 10s behind one striker, a kind of box midfield, or he could do it as a diamond box midfield. So he could go number 10 with another number 10 just off Harry Kane. But if he wants to play 4-3-3, Foden gets a place out wide alongside, I'm guessing, Saka at the moment.
Yeah.
Either way, Foden would be in my starting 11. If he was going to play a 4-2-3-1, which Southgate doesn't, and that's fine, then Foden could easily be that number 10. Him or Maddison or Barkley, all these players we've mentioned. Bellingham could play number 10 as well, although I think that if it was a 4-3-3, you'd have Rice as the sitter.
Yeah.
You'd have Bellingham box to box and a more attacking midfielder. but he might make Bellingham the more attacking midfielder and have two sitters in Phillips or Henderson and Rice. But either way, I don't see Foden playing number 10 for England unless it's a 3/5 at the back.
Yeah, for me, Tom, if you're picking your best 11, for me, you make it work and you put Foden in. I think he has to play. He has to play.
But then if you play 4-3-3 and play him and Saka on the wings, it still works.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know what?
Sterling's
Foden's that
fallen
good.
out of form.
Yeah, Foden's that good. He can play anywhere.
Rashford out of form.
Yeah. But yeah, Phil Foden, man. I don't know what it is for me. I think for most England fans or whoever watched England play, I definitely think this will be Southgate's last tournament. I'm actually surprised he's going. I'm actually surprised. Obviously, after the World Cup and the way he was talking, he looked like he might go. So I think 4 tournaments is a good stint as England manager. Definitely think it's a good stint as England manager to get that many tournaments. But yeah, for me, you find a way for Phil Foden to start. He has to. And like I said, I'm not saying that off the back of him scoring a hat trick yesterday. I've probably been saying this for about over a year. But you know, Southgate has his. Some people might say his favourites or the guys who he trusts. So I guess time will tell, Tom. There's a lot of time still. 6th of February, we've got the Euros in Germany in June. As you know, a lot of these guys play a lot of football, Tom. A lot of injuries. You know, heard Edric Konsa's out for a while now as well. Shane really playing well. Doug's put in a chat about, you know, the likes of certain people getting called up to Gomez and who's the other guy, Curtis Jones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Curtis Jones, that's a good one. He's been brilliant and playing in central midfield as well, because I was adamant that after the World Cup that Harvey Elliott would make it into the England squad, but actually Curtis Jones has overtaken him. Gomez can't lock down a position, so he could go there as a squad player, yes, because he can cover positions. But do you really need a squad player when you're only there for a few weeks? Curtis Jones, yeah,
he's
definitely good shout.
Good shout. And yeah, shame about Conor Bradley losing his father. So condolences to him. But because he's been, you know, like I said, he's been really, really good. I actually think he would have.
But he's Northern Irish though.
Oh, okay, right, fair enough.
Yeah, he plays for Northern Ireland.
Oh, there you go. So I tried to squeeze him into England. So apologies to the Irish folk there. But I actually think he would have played if it wasn't for the circumstances. I actually think he would have played on Sunday, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, big up to the people there in the chat. Thank you for people coming on X and on YouTube as well. And it is also going on Facebook as well. But Tom, we're going to get to the juiciest part of weekly surgery for obvious reasons. People in the chat, Arsenal community, Arsenal talk, celebration police, media coverage, Mikel Arteta, hashtag Arsenal the brain. Now, Tom, how am I going to start this? Right. So, I go back to when we played Villa, I think it was 2 seasons ago. Bern Leno went in goal because Ramsdale was injured. We won 1-0. Arsenal were over celebrating, according to a certain ex-footballer, Mr. Agbon Lahore on TalkSport. Laura was putting right now. Go on, Laura. Well done, love. And then obviously we played Fulham last season at home. We won 2-1. I think we scored a last minute winner. I believe we did. Mr. Commissioner Richard Keys had a lot to say about Mikel's celebration of the touchline. So that was the second one, Tom. And obviously we played Manchester United 2 seasons ago at home. We beat them 3-1. And Xhaka scored the bullet to make it 3-1. United missed a penalty in that game. Bruno Fernandes. Aaron Ramsdale was over celebrating when he missed. Hashtag Danny Murphy. And I've got to be honest, Tom. As you know, Tom, we're fractionally, we're almost the same age. You know, we're 21 and a little bit, you know, VAT. But I've got to be honest, and I know Sophie's Nicolau, my lover from Hybrid Squad, kind of asked you a similar question.
Fantastic lady.
Yeah,
love her.
And I know she asked you a question because I watched the show about the Arsenal agenda, media bias, and I'm going to pose the same question to you because obviously Arsenal won a rather big game of football on Sunday just gone, Tom. And there was some. Now, obviously, I know this is before Watershed, so I'll keep it clean. There was some interesting discussion post-match after the game. I know you was asked a question before by Sophie, but I want to get your thoughts on the celebration police and the media coverage of Arsenal and Mikel Arteta and your views, most importantly, because you're not connected with either club?
Well, media bias. Every single club thinks that the
Okay.
media. They're never specific. They're never specific. It's just the media are against them. Every single club accuse the media. Let's just say Sky Sports News, because that's me.
Go on.
We get accused of being biased towards Manchester United. 2 minutes later, we'll get accused of being biased towards Liverpool, right? Who are great rivals. So if we're biased towards one, we can't be biased. I mean, that's nonsense. Every club thinks that we are biased and against their club, always. People say to me, why does Sky hate Sunderland? Well, Sunderland are on Sky more than any other EFL team. So how does that work, right? Newcastle fans think everyone's against them. Every club thinks the media are against them, right? So I can assure you that is nonsense. There might be certain people who
that's kind of
right. Certain, like for instance, certain people might constantly attack one team, and they'll have their reasons for that. It's probably because they're connected to one of their rivals, right? But it's quite see-through. We can always see when that's happening. When people, if someone attacks Arsenal, they might have played for Tottenham. You know, if somebody attacks Liverpool, they might have played for Man U. It's quite see-through in terms of that. The media in general is not against or for any one team, right? I can assure you of that. As for the celebration police, I've got a much more, because that answer I've just given, I don't think people will find it particularly interesting, and people will probably just say, no, that's definitely not true. The media hate my club, right? But with this celebration police, so first thing to say, fans should celebrate wildly when their team win, right? Fans should never be criticised. I don't think anybody was criticising Arsenal fans for the win, were they? Arsenal fans should never be criticised for celebrating, right? I think that maybe players to a certain extent, but maybe managers when it comes to over celebrating, that actually can be their fault, right? And I'll start with, I know you want to talk about the Arsenal one, which I will get to, right? This is relevant. So when Newcastle beat Sunderland in the FA Cup third round, and I've been saying this to Newcastle. Most of my friends and Newcastle fans have said this to all of them, right? At the end of the game, Newcastle had a picture in front of their fans, all wildly celebrating beating Sunderland, right? Now, yes, it's a derby, okay? I believe that, and also every time they win, like if they'd beaten Luton on Saturday at home, which it was ended up being a 4-4 draw, even though Luton are struggling, but playing better, you know what I mean? They're at the wrong end of the table. If Newcastle won that game, they would have had a picture celebrating tops off in the change room because they do it every time they win. Okay. Now, I have got an issue with that. My issue is in that Sunderland game, for instance, it was a derby in the third round of the FA Cup, right? Had that been Aston Villa Birmingham derby with Unai Emery as manager, I think Unai Emery, who's managed big clubs, won trophies, I think what he would have done was say to his players, right, win the game, clap the fans, then it's job done, in the dressing room, concentrate on the next Premier League game.
Yeah.
Okay? Because all we've done, effectively, is beat a championship team in the third round of the FA Cup, right? To the fans, it means a lot more than that, okay? No doubt. Fans should celebrate as much as they did and more, right? But I believe that with Newcastle, Eddie Howe, I believe that has brought a bit of a small club mentality to a big club because Newcastle are a big club. But celebrating the way they did, I thought wasn't the actions of a big club, okay? And they do it whenever they win a standard Premier League game. It's never just off the pitch, on to the next one. Celebrate the end of the season when we've got something, right? So with that in mind, when it came to the Arsenal celebration,
right.
I think...
Go on, Tom.
like that win actually kept Arsenal in the title race. I don't think. I mean, draw maybe, but if you'd lost,
No, you have to win.
realistically,
You have to win.
title race was over. That win kept your season alive. I think that the players deserve to celebrate. Do I think they over celebrated? Yes, but I thought it was more understandable than
Yeah.
the previous example that I've just given. The debate has been really good fun though the last few days.
Whatever side of the coin you sit on, yeah.
I think it's been quite good. I certainly don't think anybody should be bad mouthing Arsenal for their celebrations. And I probably wouldn't have thought much of it had this debate not started. But if I was to say, if I was forced to have to say yes or no, did Arsenal over celebrate? My answer would be yes, but also that I can understand it. And I'm just making sure that Mikel Arteta, with all of his history as a player, I hope that he has got that big club mentality that Arsenal deserve. I hope he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. I just think in this one-off, I did think you over-celebrated. But fans, you should celebrate as much as you want because
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I know you say the debate was fun. Like I said, it depends on what side of the coin you sit on.
Neutral. So I guess
Yeah,
it was fun for me to be neutral.
yeah, of course. So because the thing is, when I reeled off them examples before I sort of came to you, those are only some of the examples because there was more. I mean, people make the comparison obviously when Roberto De Zerbi's knee sliding at the Emirates last season, and then he's running onto the pitch against Nottingham Forest back in November, and Jurgen Klopp doing the triple fist pump, and when they played Everton a few years ago. I've seen a lot worse from Mourinho and Conte, for example, than what Arteta does, but he seems to be kind of the yardstick or the punch bag when he does exactly the same. So I think that's the issue that Arsenal fans kind of look. Well, okay, we for example, we played Liverpool, right? I actually only think it's a talking point because of what Jamie Carragher said. Get down the tunnel and celebrate. And Stuart, the photographer, has been at the club for about 100 years and whatever. I heard what Ian Wright had to say, or soon as Simon Jordan. I've heard a lot of opinions said about it. People are going to say it to me in terms of because I'm being biased as an Arsenal fan, but I mean, I've got to be honest. I would have preferred as a fan, Arsenal fan, to listen and hear more about the analysis of the game afterwards and how fantastic Jorginho was and how Arsenal were fantastic, particularly in the midfield area and receiving the ball in the half turn and causing problems to Liverpool, as opposed to Martin Odegaard taking a picture of the photographer at Arsenal who's been there for 100 years. Is my point valid, Tom, or do you see both sides? Where do you sit with that?
No, that's definitely valid. I mean, I haven't seen all of the post-match, so I don't know if all of those other things were talked about. All right,
seen a lot of it, Tom.
And the celebration, the Odegaard with the cameraman, that was just a bit of fun. I don't think that was even.
Poor Martin.
I don't think that was even over celebration. So I don't really mean that particular bit, to be honest. And that was just a good bit of fun. But like I say, that win does keep you in the title race, and that is worthy of celebrating. I don't know if maybe there's some sort of history there between Arteta and Klopp, and Arteta was actually having a bit of a dig at him. I don't know. I'm not aware of that. But with other over celebrations do get. I mean, when Klopp celebrated the draw at home to West Brom when he first came in, I mean, I've never forgotten that now. So other managers do when he ran onto the pitch after the derby.
Yeah, Everton. I know.
Winning the derby in the last minute, I understand that massively, but he shouldn't have been running onto the pitch, and that's been talked about a lot as well. So Klopp's had it too. It's not just Arteta, and Mourinho certainly. I mean, Mourinho's done some quite disrespectful celebrations in his time. Conte goes overboard, as you rightly mentioned. They're not the only ones, and I've just talked about Newcastle with these dressing room pictures. It's not just Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, even for example, Gary O'Neill with Wolves got a fantastic result at Stamford Bridge, and I don't think that's any different. I think his celebrations are more than appropriate. People might say, "Oh yeah, but Arteta was, the game was over against Wolves, and it's the final whistle, and it was done." and Arteta was running down the touchline. Well, it was 3-1, and we did score with literally probably 3 or 4 minutes to go. So I don't think there's much difference, but I do. I personally feel, whether people are going to agree with me or not, Arsenal fans or clubs or supporters of other clubs, I think with Arteta, most definitely with Arteta, not necessarily the players. I think he riles people up, Tom. I think it's as simple as that. And sometimes I do think it comes across with certain probably presenters that I get rivalry and banter, and whether somebody does something wrong, but I think it crosses the line a little bit sometimes in terms of analyzing and what you personally feel about somebody. I think there's a very, very thin line with a particular person that talks about Mikel Arteta, should I say?
Right. Well, I mean, I don't actually know who you mean, so it can't. So that says
Mr.
something.
Keith.
Oh, I see. But I don't have B in sport. I don't have him on social media, so I wouldn't really see that.
I'll send it to you afterwards, Tom.
He seems. I mean, remember that I used to make his tea and coffee when he was at Sky when I was a runner. Yeah. So I mean, I used to know him. I've not had anything to do with him since he left. Actually, and he left in like 2010, maybe 2011. So it's
yeah.
So I've got no relationship with him and whatsoever. So I've got no reason to defend him. But he attacks quite a few people and quite a few clubs. I mean, he attacks Newcastle a lot for a start, because their owners, there's history there with their owners and what they did to his television channel that he's on, etc. But yeah, I don't really see much of what he says because we don't have B in sport over here, and I don't follow him.
To be fair, Tom, he's not the only one. There is a crime sheet. There's a fantastic Twitter account called the Celebration Police, where
I only saw that for the first time yesterday, and it is class. It's so funny.
Yeah, Commissioner Keys. Tom, there's a lot. There's Richard Keys, there's Chris Sutton chirps in a few times, Michael Owen when he feels like it sometimes. There's a few, mate. There's a few in the crime sheet, mate. They seem to. I mean, to be fair, Danny Murphy on Match of the Day on Sunday was actually very complimentary about Arsenal. I was quite surprised, Tom. I almost choked on my drink, to be honest with you.
Well, you just beaten Liverpool. I think that you probably deserve a few compliments.
Tom, I want to quickly ask you about the game, because I want to get away from I want to park the negativity that is aimed at my beautiful, beloved Arsenal Football Club. I've got to be honest, Tom. I didn't see that performance coming, and I've said this on many times on my channel. Right? Yes, you have rivalry with particular clubs. Obviously, for Arsenal, it's Tottenham and other London clubs. But I've always said this. I've got a record saying it. For me, it means the absolute bloody well to beat Liverpool. It's personal for me. Which I'm not going to go into right now, but it's very, very personal. So I think one of the key things I credit Arsenal for the game on Sunday, Tom. I don't know whether you saw it live or you watched it back or you saw highlights, whatever it was.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I think the key thing for Arsenal was being brave in possession. And what I mean by that is when you got into central areas of the pitch, getting the ball, receiving the ball in tight areas and getting on the half turn. It sounds very, very simplistic, but it's not. Particularly when you're playing against the bigger sides or a team where, Tom, we beat Liverpool twice in 17 games before Sunday. Twice. What? So yeah. I was really impressed. What impressed you about Arsenal? Sorry, mate. Come in. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool are very, very good at pressing and taking the ball in the half turn when you're getting pressed so well. If it can get you into trouble.
Yeah, 100%.
If you get it right, you actually beat the press and you're attacking. So I think that's a good thing to call out. I think, and I think what impressed me most wasn't a specific thing like that, though. It was the fact that you deserved to win.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a smash and grab. It wasn't that Liverpool had loads and loads of chances and you had won and won 1-0. Which can happen. It wasn't that you got a dodgy penalty. It wasn't that there was a dodgy red card. I think Konate's 2 yellows was a 2 yellows, and it was late on anyway. You actually deserve to win, and that's what impressed me more than anything.
Yeah, I think they had one shot on target, Liverpool. You know what it was? I think I've seen some of the reaction from It's the Scousers to the game on Sunday. I think what it is when they play us, Tom, and I just mentioned it. We've beaten Liverpool twice in 17 matches. They're very confident when they come up against us. I mean, there's times when I've seen Jamie Carragher been asked by David Jones. David Jones can't even finish the sentence before you said, "Yeah, no, Liverpool win." Said it. We played them at Anfield, got the draw, 1-1. And yeah, because our record is not great against them, but what Arsenal were doing well in recent seasons, which is pleasing as an Arsenal fan, is we're a lot more competitive in the bigger games. I'm still waiting for that away win at Anfield. Hopefully, I'll get that before I turn 50. Well, that's quite a long way away, people. Before you start getting on me, me and Tom are nowhere near that kind of age. So don't even start, people. But no, that's what really impressed me, Tom. And for me, it's a must-win game. Yeah, people say we don't lose it. I don't know. We have to win. We have to win. We get the point at Anfield. We have to beat them at the Emirates, and we've done that. And we're back in the fold. So yeah,
very much so.
Long may it continue. And I wanted to get Tom's thoughts and push him a little bit on the old Arsenal sort of talk. So it was fun, Tom. I love you for it, Tom. Don't worry, man. But big up to the people in the chat. One more thing I want to say, a bit of housekeeping. Obviously, you can see a particular shirt is in the background as you look at me right now.
Yeah.
There's a big game tomorrow at 5 o'clock against South Africa in the semi-final of the AFCON. Come on, Lookman and Osherman and Moses and Shemi Ajayi. You do your thing, people. So, and the other semi-final, Ivory Coast versus Congo at 8 p.m. It'll be a mouthful in semi-final with Arsenal. If Nigeria can play Ivory Coast. Cool. London will be heaving, people.
Good luck to Nigeria. As you know, I used to live in South Africa, but for you, I'll support Nigeria tomorrow.
Tom, because you said that, I love you anyway, Tom, to be honest, but I love you even more now for saying that. But big up to the people in the chat. Smash the like button now, and also when you watch this back. Shame I couldn't get this on the Instagram live, but that wasn't my fault. That's something to do with them. I'll put this out on the socials and tag Tom for live. Tom, when will you be next back on Sky Sports? And thank you, Tom, for gracing me for your presence for hashtag quadruple stream.
No, always a pleasure. I'll be back on 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Good, Tom. I better let you get to sleep. To be honest with you, I'll keep you up a bit late now.
I'll be going to bed in an hour.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I know your sleep patterns, Tom. I know your sleep patterns. Thank you, people. Tom's Twitter handle is going on the bottom of the screen, and like I said, when you watch it back, you can follow him that way, and obviously you get to hear my dulcet tones as well as Tom's northeast dulcet tones as well. And this will go on the radio download on Spotify and Anchor. So you can sit back and relax, drink cups of tea, wine, watch EastEnders Coronation Street. Beer, people, sorry. Or in my case, lemonade, White's lemonade. No pun intended, Tom. But no, I want to thank Tom for coming on. Love getting him on, hear his thoughts about Premier League, EFL, and get his expertise. Like I said, people in the intro, class personified, sitting next to me. But people, I'm going to sign out. If I can find the outro, that will help. So people, weekly surgery is now closed for Tuesday afternoon. Episode 29 is over, and me and Tom will be back in a future lifetime to talk more about football, Sky Bet Championships, and hopefully Arsenal play Sunday in the Premier League before we know it. Over and out. God bless. Afternoon, people.